we're going to focus on gold because futures have been on a tear this year for the metal, previously hitting all-time highs, now hovering around 2,300, up over 1% on the day. So for beginner investors, is it too late to get in? Joining me now on this, we have Alex Ebkarian joining me from Allegiance Gold as the COO and co-founder. Alex, thank you so much for being here with us. So I would imagine you're going to have a similar answer to what Ross just told me, where the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago or today. Does that same thinking apply to gold investing?
Somewhat. Well, first of all, thank you, Madison, for having me. Happy to be here to talk about the physical gold investments. The idea of gold is, number one, you want to be able to preserve your buying power. And then you want to look at the outlook. Really, what's driving the value of gold right now are many catalysts. Obviously, interest rate hikes are around the corner. The recent economic data just validated that although inflation is dropping, what we're seeing is that the interest expense, it's costing a lot. So that's one. Number two, we have central banks doing two things. On one hand, they're de-dollarizing, and on the other hand, they're increasing their gold reserve. Also, we see the ongoing geopolitical tensions. And last but not least, we also have the potential recessionary risk. Since 2008, we haven't had any risk really in the market that was that much volatile. So with that, I think if you were to take a step back and ask yourself, where am I in life? What are my priorities? What's my time horizon? What are my risks? And you want to be able to think about how can I properly diversify, as opposed to having all my assets that are paper-based, potentially think about having some proper diversification with physical gold.
Well, talk to me about that diversification. How much of one's portfolio should be going to something like gold?
Well, you always want to ask your financial advisors for that. But specifically, what I've noticed is a lot of our clients ask us what would be a good way to potentially think about diversification. Like I said earlier, if you have all of your eggs in a single basket that is paper-based, then there is an inherent risk. So according to the World Gold Council and the In Gold We Trust report, what they've done is they've actually calculated over a long period of time what is a proper allocation. And what they found is that a 15% allocation is an ideal fit that does two things. Number one, it de-risks the portfolio. And number two, it enhances a risk-adjusted return. And one of the things we found from our clients over the years is that the ones that actually 5-6 years ago diversified a small portion, because they've seen the evidence in what gold has done to their portfolio, they are proactively increasing their allocation to a point where, just like the prior speaker mentioned, the same concept of dollar averaging.
Really quickly here in our last minute, I want to know how investors should be getting into gold if they want to. Should they be going to Costco for the gold bars? Should they be utilizing an app like Robinhood? How should they do it?
Well, there are 4 different options for the investor to get into gold. Number one, you have the mining shares, which is very much stock-based. You have the futures and options contract that's very complicated for sophisticated investors. You have the ETF, which is the GLD. And last but not least, you have the physical route where you can have actual ownership. Each category has its advantages and disadvantages. What you want to look, if you're a first-time investor, ask yourself, what's more of a priority? Do I care about exposure or do I want ownership? When you think about central banks of the world, when it comes to gold investing, they actually prefer the ownership rather than exposure. And it boils down to a simple factor. They want to eliminate the counterparty risk. They want to be in control because when you actually hold it, you own it. So as far as Costco is concerned, there are limitations of how many you can buy. And obviously, a lot of the investors are aware about that. It's a good exposure. It actually educates the people about the importance and how easy it is to get into gold. But what you want to look for is a reputable dealer that actually helps you on the acquisition, on the storage option, and last but not least, on the exit strategy in case you need liquidation.
All right, Alex, we're going to have to leave it there. Really appreciate you joining us. That was Alex Ebkarian. He is Allegiance Gold's COO and co-founder. Thanks so much, Alex.
Thank you, Madison.